Okay, so this video is going to be the first, possibly in a series, depending on how things work out. I'm going to call it running it back. And the reason why I'm going to call it that is because basically what I'm going to do with these videos is feature guys that are going to be getting into either a rematch or, a third fight. Guys that have fought before that are about to fight again. And basically took a look back at their last fight, any recent fights that they may have had in between, as well as the upcoming fight for the individuals involved. And for this first one is going to be Kiatniwat, better known currently due to his sponsorship as Stamp Kiatniwat, versus Gregorio Lebron. These two fought last year in July, and Stamp Kiatniwat managed to win the interim WBA World Flyweight title by majority decision. This was a very controversial decision. It took place in Thailand, in Loei, and basically what happened was Gregorio Lebron appeared to really dominate large swaths of the fight, outside of a couple of rounds where Kiatniwat managed to hurt him and or drop him. So I'll kind of take it round by round. The first round that these two guys fought, before I get to it, these guys are about to rematch this coming week, February 5th. And so it's probably going to be the fourth for most of us due to, Thailand being so far on the other side of the world compared to the United States and other countries more quote-unquote on the west, as far as time zones go. So February 4th into February 5th is when this fight's going to take place. It's going to be in Bangkok, Thailand, once again. So it'll be interesting to see how the scorecards possibly change depending on the fight. But let's get to the fight. The first fight was a very heated battle. As soon as the first bell rang in the first round, these two guys were going at it. They were going at it, with tons of punches thrown, both to the body and the head, both of them. Lebron was measuring Kiatniwat out really well with the jab and shooting punches behind it. They were both doing a little bit of a modified kind of shoulder roll because they were like shoulder to shoulder on the inside. It was basically good, excellent inside work from both of them. Eventually, Kiatniwat managed to let off a couple of uppercuts, hooks, and right hands that managed to back LeBron off. And then he hit LeBron with an overhand right to up high on the head that dropped him pretty bad. LeBron was really badly hurt, and Kiatniwat tried to jump on him in order to finish him off, but he wasn't able to. The second round, LeBron, despite still being a little bit rocked, managed to fight back pretty evenly. It was a fairly even round for the most part, but Kiatniwat was still landing a little bit of the more telling blows. But LeBron was getting his defense a little bit better. He was making Kiatniwat miss a little bit more. Kiatniwat wasn't landing quite as cleanly, and LeBron was landing more cleanly than they had been in the first round. That second round I also gave to Kiatniwat. From the third round on, though, LeBron really started measuring out the jab, measuring out his timing really well. He was gauging the distance really well. He's a little bit taller and has a little bit of a longer reach than Kiatniwat. Kiatniwat's listed at 5'4.5". LeBron's listed at 5'5". I'm thinking that possibly Kiatniwat might be a little bit shorter than that, and LeBron might be a little bit taller than that, so they might have rounded up and down respectively for their heights, because LeBron appeared to have a little bit more of a height and reach advantage than what's listed on BoxRec anyway. And from the third round, LeBron was outboxing him. He was catching him with the cleaner, more effective shots and executing a very effective shoulder roll-esque defense. He was on the inside for most of that too. He wasn't necessarily dancing around. He was just taking the little side steps and rolling out of the way of Kiatniwat's shots and countering over him really, really precisely and very, very well timed. In the fourth round, it was more of the same. LeBron was taking that round over too. The fifth round was a little bit more heated. Kiatniwat was starting to rally a little bit of a minor comeback. But I still gave LeBron that round. So now I had LeBron 3-2 in terms of rounds, but it was even after the fifth due to the extra point from the knockdown for Kiatniwat. In the sixth round, LeBron managed to hurt Kiatniwat really bad. I think it was a left uppercut, if I remember right, and a series of punches thereafter that he hurt Kiatniwat really bad with. Kiatniwat rocked back, and it looked like he might go down, but he managed to stay up And this was about like midway through the round too. So I mean, he managed to survive really well and come out with some pretty good shots of his own towards the last about 20-30 seconds of the round that had the crowd hella hype. Man, there was a ton of people there watching him. And then in the seventh round, however, LeBron, he pretty much kept up the defense, kept up the jab, kept up the timing. You know, he was shooting the underhanded right uppercuts from the roll. You know, he'd roll out, throw the uppercut from under, and then also like shooting it over the top, the right hand, along with some pretty nice little short chopping left hooks as well as chopping left uppercuts. 7th, 8th, and 9th round, LeBron was taking over. And, I mean, he was hurting Kiatniwat from time to time, you know, fairly well. Not quite as bad as he had in the 6th, but he was doing the damage. Kiatniwat, for his effort, he was still putting in a hard effort. You know, he was still throwing a lot of shots, trying to get back into the fight, but he was just missing too much and too often, and by too wide of a margin. A lot of the shots that he was landing were, you know, grazing-type shots. And the more telling blows were clearly being landed by LeBron. So in the 10th round, however, the two of them, they wound up in a little bit of a clinch. The ref appeared to kind of verbally break them, and they kind of broke themselves. But in the midst of them breaking themselves out of the clinch, Kiatniwat left his hands down, and LeBron cracked him with a left hook after that knocked Kiatniwat back, but it didn't really hurt him so much as it pissed him off. And Kiatniwat just ran on a rampage, throwing hella punches, man. He was throwing he threw like a 10-punch combination and managed to catch LeBron again with it looked like it was a left hook, right uppercut, and then an overhand right. The overhand right landed high up on LeBron's temple again, same way it had in the first round. Dropped LeBron again, and LeBron was badly hurt this time. He was hurt worse than he had been in the first round. I think largely because of the fact that he had been tired from all of those rounds of, you know, virtual domination over Kiatniwat, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that LeBron was expending himself in all of those rounds. He was throwing dozens and dozens of punches. Even though he was dominating those rounds, he was working for that domination, so he had expended a lot of energy doing that. But he was able to survive once again in the 10th, and he even came back a little bit at the end of the round. The 11th round, however, he was still kind of hurt from the 10th. Kiatniwat won that round. It was very closely fought, though. It was very closely fought. LeBron was fighting back, but Kiatniwat was landing the more telling blows in the 11th. The 12th round, however, I thought LeBron edged it just a tad. He managed to rock Kiatniwat once. Kiatniwat rocked him back. But overall, more of the round appeared to, and more of the telling blows, the better timed blows, the better landed blows were being landed by LeBron throughout that round. So I had him winning that round and ultimately the fight 8-4. Of course, you give 2 extra points for the knockdowns that Kiatniwat got. So basically, at the end of the day, I had LeBron winning by 2 points. But, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Kiatniwat wound up winning a controversial majority decision. One judge had it, let's see here, I'm looking at the scores right now. One judge had it 113-113, a draw. One had it 112-118. For Kiatniwat, and the last judge had it 109-117 for Kiatniwat, which is a crazy score. Like, I mean, he had to be giving Kiatniwat every single benefit of the doubt just for work rate. And even then, like, I don't even necessarily think he was outworking LeBron. LeBron was, you know, like I said before, a lot of his being hurt in the 10th round was due to him being tired from expending so much energy, you know, beating down Kiatniwat. But the thing about Kiatniwat, a lot of people are thinking, is the fact that he's so beloved in Thailand. He actually became the second youngest world titleist in history, right behind Wilfred Benitez, because Kiatniwat is only 18 years old right now. He won his world title at 17 years old and 8 months, this interim title. And this was in their first fight. He won the world title. So basically, these guys are about to run it back. Considering how they performed in the first fight, I would say that Gregorio LeBron should be favored, and I favor him in a rematch. For his team's worth, LeBron is saying that they're not even gonna allow it to go to the scorecards. They're not gonna allow the judges to have it in their hands. They're gonna go for the knockout, and I believe them. I believe that they're gonna go for the knockout, and I think that's really what they need to be doing, because they don't want to leave it in the judges' hands this next time. And for what it's worth for Kiatniwat, though, he's a young guy. He could very well improve. The thing about LeBron, though, is even though he's 33, he only turned pro when he was about, I think, 27 or 28. So, I mean, like in terms of actual ring age, he's a fairly young fighter, too. He's a pretty fresh fighter. And he's, you know, being 33, he's not too old, so he's probably still well in his physical prime. So, honestly, I'd say LeBron should be favored in this rematch. And, I mean, hopefully he'll get a slam dunk knockout for his worth. You know, I've been waiting for that one because, you know, his name's Lebron. But I favor him. I love the fact that his alias is Pinche Malo, which basically translates to like fucking badass. And he is a badass, man. He's an ill fighter. I hope I hope he puts up a good fight. I'm not necessarily trying to say that I'm rooting for anybody in this rematch, but considering the fact that I thought LeBron should have won the first fight, and I consider it a controversial decision victory for Kiatniwat, it should have been LeBron's victory. I'm kind of hoping that LeBron wins the rematch, rights the wrong. And to me, he was the better, more skilled fighter in there, better, more skilled boxer. Kiatniwat is a very good fucking fighter for being so young, you know, for being as inexperienced professionally as he is. And you know, he's 14-0 with 6 knockouts. LeBron is 13-3 with 11 knockouts. A couple of those losses came way earlier in his career, but now, you know, he's obviously an interim WBA title contender. The super champion, of course, is Juan Francisco Estrada, the guy that's mostly considered the number 2 in the division, right behind Roma Chocolatito Gonzalez. So the winner of this fight, we may see them against potentially Chocolatito in the future, potentially Naoya Inoue in the future, potentially Estrada in the future, potentially I'm Not Wrong in the future, especially if it winds up being Gregorio Lebron, because the Thailand will definitely bring him back to try and fight Wrong if he happens to beat their young prodigy Kiatniwat. So that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys for the post-fight review after this happens, and I'll also include a link for this fight, the full fight, in the description, as well as a link for the full fight once the rematch happens in the post-fight review. So I'll catch you later.